Hey everybody, welcome to Comics from the Future. Happy Friday, TGIF, and it is our Friday FOC show where we're going to go over all the coolest new comic releases, all the coolest covers from Marvel, DC, a ton of independent studios, and more. So you're in the right place. If you don't know, my name is Megan.
I'm Andy.
And I'm Jason. We're with Infinity Flux Comics out of Chattanooga, Tennessee.
That's right. We have a brick and mortar store here that has been open almost 7 years. And we also ship all over the country. So we'll have some info at the end of the video or in the description box about how you can order from us if you'd like to. If you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel. We're super close to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. Make sure to like us on Facebook and Instagram because we also always post new content there as well. So, okay, enough with the promotion. Let's get into it today. We also have some news, comic news, some things that are changing. So we'll get into that a bit later, but I guess let's get going. And I'm just going to keep talking.
Just keep going. Keep rolling with it.
Well, what a cover to start with.
What a cover to start with. New from DC is Joker Presents a Puzzlebox. This is a 7-part miniseries coming up written by Matthew Rosenberg, and it's going to have rotating artists on it. Basically, we're going to be spending a night with Joker in the Gotham Central interrogation chambers.
No thanks, I'll pass.
Yeah, I know.
Does not sound like a fun time.
Sounds horrifying. Basically, yeah, we're going to be spending some time with Joker as he tells us some stories of murder and mayhem and all sorts of things. Now, are they true? Is it not? Who knows? But we're going to get 12 different stories, it says, over 7 issues. And that goes along with the solicitation saying that we've gotten, there's going to be a couple stories at least per issue. It's a weird solicitation because I think they're trying to keep it a mystery of what this is, but there will be real puzzles in this. The format itself is going to be played with a bit, and yeah, they described it as Twilight Zone meets a mystery novel meets a police procedural, so it sounds really cool. So this first one is actually the A cover, and then we have the FEDERICI B cover here.
It's cool. So some of the other Arkham inmates in the background there. Just trying to pick them all out.
Then lastly, we have the MOONEYHAM variant. Really, all these are very different from one another. So really cool, exciting new miniseries coming out. I would recommend this.
They're really having fun with Joker. He's getting all sorts of his own series and
a lot of attention,
one-shots and everything.
Yeah, because we just talked last week about Suicide Squad Get Joker.
Yeah.
Which I got to read the preview of. It's so awesome. This looks really cool too, though.
You'll need to read this one early so you can try to solve it by the time that it comes out. Next up is something that is a little familiar. This is Deadpool Black, White, and Blood. Continuing with Marvel's Black, White, and Blood series. We had Wolverine, we had Carnage, now we have Deadpool. And it's very apt because it is still Deadpool's 30th birthday anniversary. He's that guy who that forces you to celebrate year-long, and you know, he keeps asking where's his continuous presence. So this is going to be really cool. This is only going to be a 4-issue series as opposed to some of the longer ones they've had. And you have names on it like Tom Taylor. We're big fans of Tom Taylor around here. Ed Brisson and James STOKOE are going to be in this first one, along with artists Will Spartaccio, Phil Noto, and of course James STOKOE is doing his own art for his own writing. This first one has 3 stories, and it doesn't say a whole lot about, like the solicitation doesn't say a whole lot about the stories, but I found an interesting article with Ed Brisson saying that his story has Deadpool cursing streaming platforms, lamenting video stores, and invading foreign countries all in the name of B. Arthur. So that is some of the most Deadpool things I've ever heard.
I mean, half of that sounded totally reasonable. The other half, yeah.
I know. I mean, who wouldn't invade a country for B. Arthur?
Exactly.
After the Star Wars Christmas special. So, sounds really cool. We have a bunch of really nice variant covers for this as well. So, of course, we have the Kyle HOTZ variant.
Yeah, I'm really happy he's back doing art again.
Yeah. And then we have the STOKOE, which is super cool with the tank.
That is awesome. So another thing about Deadpool, right now today, Rob Liefeld is doing a signing in Florida.
Should I show the pictures?
If it'll show up, throw it from cell phone to our camera to the internet. But we were lucky enough. We know someone who's going to the signing, and we sent a New Mutants '98 that the man himself, Rob Liefeld, signed just today.
That was this morning.
Yeah.
Hopefully it doesn't look
Breaking
too
news.
creepy. Like it looks like, what are you spying on him?
The things today, they kind of connect because, this is Deadpool, Black, White, and Blood. And you said earlier Carnage had that.
Yep.
Well, the next thing is Extreme Carnage. Linking in a little bit. So this is an 8-part event. We've been talking about the first few parts. It really hasn't landed yet because, it's a weekly event.
We just got our alpha issue.
Correct. The alpha issue's here, but the rest are not. This one is Extreme Carnage Lasher number 1. Lasher is one of the Carnage-like symbiotes from the Life Foundation, I believe, along with Scream and Phage and those others. So this is the 1 part for Lasher. As I said, this is the 4th part of the 8-part series. And I think this one is one that people don't want to miss out on because it claims you're going to witness the birth of a new symbiote. So, when that happens, people tend to care. People tend to want to pick up 1 or 2 of those.
Yep.
It also says, because they've kept the story really close to the chest on what is going to happen in these, this one is right in the solicitation says that some of the heroes with symbiotes have already died. Hasn't said that Carnage did it, but I'm willing to bet Carnage did it. So we have 3 covers with this. This is the regular cover. Here is the Johnson trading card variant. Carnage can make his own border just with his weird tendrils. And here is the Young variant.
That one's super interesting.
Yeah, simple, but that's what makes it work.
Yeah, I'm wondering at the end of this, are they all going to combine to make a Voltron-like symbiote creature?
And look at the trade dress in the upper left. That's reminiscent on sort of like Planet of the Symbiotes, like that.
It's cool.
Yeah, old story.
All right, next up we have Spirits of Vengeance, Spirit Rider. This looks like it's a one-shot. I tried to actually look this up and see, but in characteristic Marvel fashion, they didn't tell me. So I'm pretty sure this is a one-shot. Anyway, the premise of this, Johnny Blaze is being haunted and only Kushala, who is a ghost rider with powers of the Sorcerer Supreme, can help him. So I didn't know much about this character, but, what a mashup. And I think they're probably, as they do, going to bring in this character to expand they say to kick off a new rider mythos that will kick off a new era of vengeance. So I'm pretty sure we're going to see more of this character.
Now, I don't know everything about Ghost Rider. I know 90s Ghost Rider really well. And I know some of Johnny Blaze Ghost Rider. I think Kushala, I think this might be a new character.
Her first appearance was, I believe, in Marvel Voices, the first Marvel Voices they did, which was a few years ago.
Right.
They just recently kind of brought that back into being a thing. But I think that was her first appearance. She appeared on one of the Varegi variant covers. It was the Ghost Rider one, but it's hard to tell which Ghost Rider, but it was her on that one.
Yeah.
But only a handful of appearances.
Yeah, she has existed for a while. She's got a history. But yeah, Ghost Rider and Sorcerer Supreme mixed together. So yeah. All right, we also have one variant cover on this. This is the Rodriguez variant.
Interesting. Very weird.
We'll see how this is.
Next up, of course, I got put in charge of doing the Star Wars. Our first thing was Megan was like, okay, so you're doing the Star Wars one. And of course, I was more than happy to take it because this is our second of the War of the Bounty Hunters one-shots. Our first one, which was the kind of big surprise, was the Jabba the Hutt one-shot that's still not out yet, but we know that it features that brand new bounty hunter that's existed from the High Republic era all the way till current when the series is going on. And it said then that she was going to appear in all of these one-shots. Well, now we have our second one, 4-LOM and ZUCKUSS. I still say 4-LOM. I've seen it spelled out like 4-LOM, but I'm the old school way of saying it. So this one's really fun because these two have always been linked together as bounty hunters, but also kind of like pseudo friends. They always kind of do the hunts together and everything. Well, in this one, they go up against Boba Fett, and something happens that kind of drives a wedge between them, where now they are fighting each other. And something happened to Forlom that kind of made him bloodthirsty, and we're going to find out what it is. Also, it doesn't say anything about that new character, but we know she fits in there somehow. So this series has been super cool. Always big surprises in every issue, and I think this one is not going to be any different. Exploring each of these different bounty hunters that are looking for Han. So, yep, this one has the main cover. Then it has this, which is really cool, and I think we're showing another one of these later on. But they are doing these wanted poster variants, where they have these giant wanted posters, because you can see like ZUCKUSS and Forlom in the foreground, like looking up at it. And I think it's also cool too, because you can see on each of the ones they do how much the bounty's going for, and it's like who costs more than. And also, you notice on this one it says Django, because in that Alpha issue, Boba Fett went to that arena with the black armor, and he called himself Django after his father. So just a cool little nod there to that, but I think it's a super cool variant cover.
I was so busy looking at the wanted poster, I almost missed them in the foreground till you mentioned
Yeah,
it.
each of them are like that, and they have a character and then like a giant wanted poster. And then we have the Zara variant.
All right, so Maria Lavette is back at it with a new comic called Maria Lavette's Porcelain. Of course, she is the writer, she's the artist, she does the covers, she does it all. Her previous work, she's the person behind Faithless, behind Arrow Psyche. Lately, Andy was saying she gets a lot of work done.
Luna, yeah.
Yeah, so what this is about, this sounds very Twilight Zone. I mean, I almost thought, is this an episode I've seen? So it's about this girl named Beryl. Beryl lives sort of a very solitary life. She lives in the desert with her cat. And everything is, I guess, relatively normal in her life until she is sucked into this evil dollhouse. So she's trapped in this dollhouse with ever-changing rooms. It seems like it's not just you go in one room and it's there. It changes constantly, and it tests her. Apparently the house has been like sucking in children and keeping them forever, and so she has to try to figure out her way through this place as it changes and messes with her own mind, or will she become its latest prey? So, as I said, very Twilight Zone sounding to me. It's got several covers. Here is the WIJNGAARD variant. So it looks like her cat's going with her, is what I would say. I mean, I guess why have her have a cat if it like stays outside, unless she can see it through the window?
It just starts slapping things out of the dollhouse.
Here is the Lee variant, and here is the Boss variant. And once again, it's called Porcelain. Maybe she'll find a mask. Maybe it's a face that taunts her in the house. I'm not sure. And
it's along with the all the books based on materials like vinyl and plastic. Now we have porcelain.
Okay. And here is the Rich variant.
I think this is going to be really popular.
By far my favorite of the variants. So, and is that homage to the Joker and Harley
Joker Harley #1 or whatever, that graphic novel.
Yeah, even the choice of font at the top there.
All right, next up is called Not All Robots. This is from Upshot and AWA. This is written by Mark Russell, who you may remember the Flintstones comic and more recently the Second Coming series. So is a good writer, but chooses some very interesting topics.
He's the one who did the Snagglepuss comic that was like super deep and stuff.
He's a good writer. Does some bizarre things though. This is a sci-fi satire set in the year 2056, where robots have taken over the human workforce. We don't have to do anything as humans. Super nice. But they have an uneasy relationship, uneasy coexistence with us. Basically, a robot is assigned to every family, and the family has to totally rely on them. You can see, it looks like here, the robots maybe cooking them dinner or something like that. So family's reliance upon them. We are settled on this one family, and their robot is called Razorball, and they think he is trying to kill them. He spends a lot of his time in the shed, tinkering with things, building things, and that they're, like I said, very uneasy relationship. So this sounds really interesting. Like I said, sci-fi satire. So not all robots. And of course, we have some variants. Just the one, actually. This is the Diodato Jr. variant.
That's cool.
Next up is a new book from Image from Scotty Young. So he finished his epic Middle West, and this is kind of his next big thing he's undertaking, called The Me You Love in the Dark, which sounds very almost like a romance novel. But it's a very interesting premise. The art is by Jorge Corona, who has done some awesome stuff. Most recently did some really nice variant covers for The Last Witch at Boom. Really, really nice artist. Very almost adjacent to Scotty Young and kind of this animation style. But this is about a artist named Ro, who you see on the cover, and she leaves the hectic life in the city and goes to this secluded house in a small town to kind of clear her head and hopefully get hit with some inspiration for some new artwork. But in the house, there is a shadowy muse that kind of is influencing her and her artwork along the way. And maybe more than it appears. Is it a ghost? Is it something else? It's a very like dark gothic romance mystery for fans of like Stephen King and Neil Gaiman. I got a chance to skim through issue 1 and issue 2 of this. The art is really, really good. The atmosphere of it is very, almost like Haunting of Hill House, that kind of feeling. So really, really cool. Definitely for fans of that kind of horror, isolated horror, haunted house feel.
That is not what I'd expect from Scotty Young necessarily. Not saying he doesn't have that range. He certainly does. But it's like you get so used to seeing all the variant covers he does and the, Fairyland.
Yeah.
It's like he's like, I've held back all this other stuff.
You got to stretch those other muscles.
Yeah. When somebody chooses to do a work that's so left field of what they do, sometimes you get their best stuff.
Yeah, and this feels really, I don't know, when Middle West started, it really took off. I remember how hard the number 1 was to get and everything. I feel like this is another, I mean, it's got the names attached to it, the big names of Scotty Young, but I feel like this is going to be one to keep your eye out on. It feels like it's going to, especially, you can tell sometimes with the pacing when you look through it. Sometimes a slower pacing is a good thing to really build the hype about it, and this one has that feeling.
So that is the end of our first segment of the show where we do sort of our featured number 1s. We're about to move into the second segment where we do just sort of other number 1s. There's so many number 1s released every week. We kind of feature some, and then the others we just tell you a little bit about. But before that, I have something big I want to talk about. It is Skybound X number 5. The reason is they just did a press release. This isn't really in the solicitation completely. But Skybound X number 5 is going to have a preview of a new work by Robert Kirkman and Jason Howard. It's going to be a new ongoing series by them. So, which could be a real big deal if people miss out on it, if they underorder it. It is called Code, C-O-D-E. And that stands, I can't remember it. It stands for something.
Combat Orb.
Yeah.
Something.
Defense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can find pictures of the characters from it. It looks really cool. It says that they are in this technological hellscape of the future where basically people need these mech suits to just like get by. It didn't really go into what the villains are, like what the technological menace is. But, we knew Skybound X was going to have some surprises.
Yep.
I think this is going to be probably the biggest surprise of Skybound X. So we just didn't want anyone to miss out on that. Because if you just read the solicitation for number 5, it's like, oh, it has new stories from this, new stories from that, which are established series or series that are over. the big news is really it's brand new stuff from Kirkman.
Yep.
That is turning into a new series. So first appearances, all that. It also has a few variant covers. This is the Schweizer cover and the Howard cover.
Yep, and that's from the new series. So I think that's going to be the hot cover to get.
Yep. They're also doing a second printing for number 1. Number 1 already a lot higher than people expected because of Clementine, who is going to star in a series of young adult graphic novels. And that's just to begin with. Who knows if she'll ever get her own comic? Who knows if they'll adapt any of the stuff? They know she's a very popular character because of the games. People played it from young kids to adults, and now, you know, it's been years past. All those people have not forgotten her character. So,
all right, next up we have the Guardians of the Galaxy Annual. So this is, real quick, part 7 of 8 of Infinite Fury, in case you didn't know. But also what's going on in this annual is that a new, younger prince, maybe not new, but a young prince has shown up to challenge Hercules, and he has an Infinity Stone. So they describe it as a very wimpy individual who has suddenly got quads of steel and abs of steel, and it sounds like it's going to be a really funny annual. So we wanted to show that for you guys, and yeah, this is just the A cover for it there.
That sounds like the Power Stone. Certainly.
Yeah.
And I have to say, so, you know, this is part of Infinite Destinies, and then there's the backup story, Infinite Fury, which is the Nick Fury story. I only chime that in because I've been reading all of them. So I think they've been great. Like, anyone who liked Heroes Reborn, I think would like this because its writers getting to do what they feel like without having to worry about, like, some too big of an overarching story that reaches into everyone in the Marvel Universe.
Next up is a new number 1 of a 2-issue series, micro series, you might call it. This is The Golem Walks Among Us. And if you can't tell, even from just looking at it, this is from the Mignola-verse that is called the Outerverse. So this is by Mike Mignola and Christopher Golden, who's co-written a lot of the Hellboy stuff with Mignola. And this one is about a golem that awakes in Eastern Europe to help fight witches and a dangerous cult. So if there's something that, I mean, could you sound more Mignola-esque than a golem, Eastern Europe, witches, and a dangerous cult? I don't know. But sounds really fun. All of these are, you know, right in the same tone as Hellboy and everything. So if you like Hellboy, you haven't checked out any of this Outerverse stuff, I'm sure you'll like it because it's basically the same thing, just minus Hellboy.
Okay, so here's... I learn stuff from this show all the time. So this is Trover Saves the Universe number 1. This is going to be a 5-part series set in the video game world that Justin Roiland created. So I didn't know that. I watch Rick and Morty, I watch Solar Opposites, I read the comics. How did I not know that there was this video game out there? It just shows I'm way in the comics. I don't have as much time as I used to play video games, but now I've got to hunt this down. I think you were saying it's a VR game?
From what I remember, it's a very gross VR game. It fits.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, they're giving it this 5-part comic series. And we've got a B cover on this that is partly done by Justin Roiland.
You can tell.
Roiland and something else. Yep. That guy, is his head, is it a T-bone steak? I believe?
It's kind of what it looks like.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be funny.
Yeah.
It's going to be irreverent. It's going to be...
I guess I should tell some of the... So these two characters, apparently they're like rivals at work. And one of their coworkers is murdered, and they're blamed. So they have to run away together as the cops think they did it, and they're hunted by the cops. So that's the premise. And there's a T-bone steak head guy.
Who does not look happy.
Looming.
All right, next up is Lucky Devil. This is from Dark Horse Comics, and it's written by Cullen Bunn. So, the solicitation, they call this guy, he's a down-on-his-luck schlub. I don't like that word. That word sounds like borderline, like, offensive slur to me. But anyway, they didn't use it once, they used it twice in the solicitation.
Man.
They call this guy a schlub. So anyway, he is possessed by a demon, You can see that in the cover here. So basically, he's possessed. They have an exorcism. The demon leaves, but he retains the powers, the evil powers that this demon possessed him with. So he uses them to seek revenge on people who have done him wrong, and also begins to form a cult around himself. So, but there is a legion of hell who does not like what he is doing with these powers. So he's going to find himself up against them. Once again, written by Colin Bunn, so fans of Harrow County, they said, should enjoy this series. Sounds pretty neat. So we'll check it out together. Just the one cover, and it's a 4-part series.
And if you don't read the first issue, Megan will call you a schlub.
Oof. And it will not be pretty. It's nice to see Colin Bunn is back to doing 1,000 books a month.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, next up, this one is super cool.
Yes.
The more I read into it, the more I was like, oh my gosh, this is so crazy. This is Transformers King Grimlock. And I saw the name initially, and I was like, okay, King Grimlock, maybe, you know...
King of the Dinosaurs.
King of the Dinosaurs, or maybe Megatron dies and he takes up his place. No, this is in the spirit of King Conan. And in this kind of... It seems like it's almost like an Elseworld tale that is set in kind of a Conan D&D world where Grimlock is there, still Transformer, still transforms into like a T-Rex, but he's teamed up with a barbarian as they try to discover a way to prove that they are the strongest that has ever lived. And one of the covers shows him going up against like elves and wizards, but it's just funny. And then you just got this giant robot who transforms into a T-Rex, and I love that. It seems really fun. It's by Steve Orlando, who done a ton of work. Just recently did that big crossover at Marvel with Man-Thing. He was the writer of all of that, and he said this is like a dream come true project for him. So, fan favorite Grimlock now taking on the role of a Conan-esque character in a fantasy world. Sounds awesome. And this is, I believe, the Padilla variant, who is also the interior artist on the book.
You know, I have to say, I kind of understand where he came up with the idea, because if you watch Transformers, I watched as a kid and as an adult, the way Grimlock talks, he says, "Me, Grimlock."
Yeah.
That's barbarian speak. So you're just one leap away of going, you sound like a barbarian.
I just wonder how they're going to explain, like, who's this giant metal giant here? Okay, and then this might be the Pardilla variant.
Okay. Very, very neat idea, though.
Yes.
All right. So next up we have TMNT, The Best of Casey Jones. You might remember covers are similar to this without Casey Jones, featuring each of the Turtles, featuring Splinter. Well, now it's Casey Jones time. The coolest thing about these to me, the covers are great. I mean, they just look so good, is the stories that they choose are from across different publishers.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
Yeah, that they were able to make that happen. So, and they're priced really nice, and these books are thick.
Mm-hmm.
Every time that we order more and more, and they always sell out. I think last time we actually got to keep some on the shelf for a minute, but they're gone now.
It's a cheaper way to be able to read some of those early, like, Mirage Studios Turtles stories without having to buy like a big deluxe omnibus version of them.
All right, next up from Scout Comics is Life Formed. It is about a young girl here. You can see her name is Cleo. She's 11 years old, and she is orphaned after an alien invasion. So she basically ends up having to fight for Earth's survival with a rebel alien who is posing as her dad. So really interesting, unlikely team-up, mix-up with this. And they're going to, the solicitation made it sound like it's going to be more of a philosophical meditation on what it is to be human and all that stuff. So it doesn't seem like it seems like an all ages book, but I think it's going to tend more toward
like young adult.
I would actually say a little bit older, maybe teens. It's not a scoop book, but so maybe teens or adulty people.
Adulty.
Yes. So that's it. Life Form.
Okay, next up is Snelson Comedy is Dying.
God.
So, I mean,
That cover.
if you could just tell by this cover, this is about a comedian named Melville Snelson. Such a great name. Who was a 90s edgy comedian, and now he kind of struggles to fit into this current day cancel culture era where he's still trying to do his comedy and he thinks everybody's out to get him because his his edgy material is just too much for these current day people. But also it might turn out that he's just a terrible person and no one ever actually liked him. So, of course, you can tell this is going to be adult, it's going to be edgy, it's going to be irreverent, pseudo-political, but this is from Ahoy Comics. It's 5 issues, and it is written by Paul Constant and art by Fred Harper. And you can tell by that joke he's telling on the cover, he invested a lot to bring that cow on stage, and that's not the good end of the cow. So...
All right, so my favorite classic horror movie actor is Vincent Price. That's just something people know about me. In fact, I would wear my Vincent Price shirt for this, except I wore it too much, and it's worn through. It's my Vincent Price. I had to lay it to rest. Speaking of which, so they're doing a comic, Elvira meets Vincent Price. So how do they meet exactly? Well, Vincent Price, they are keeping it, I guess, as real as possible in that it's not him alive, it's his ghost. So the ghost of Vincent Price teams up, he comes back from the grave and teams up with Elvira because something is about to bring about the apocalypse. And to stop it, they have to find a long lost movie that can cause the apocalypse not to happen. So I don't know. I'm on board because I just, you don't see Vincent Price in comics hardly at all.
I would have to imagine they actually did meet at some point.
Probably.
With she's been famous for so long, I imagine they had a little bit of crossover.
Yeah. We were lucky at a convention. We got to hear Vincent Price's granddaughter tell stories about him.
That's cool.
That was really cool. So this has, I'm just showing my favorite cover. This is the B cover, the Samu cover. It has 3 other covers to it, and it also has a blank cover. On the show, we don't show you everything. It would be way too long. Mm-hmm. We try to show you the covers we think most people be interested in. We also show a lot of B covers because we figure if you're signed up to the series, you're already getting the A, you might want the opportunity to say, give me the B instead, or give me the B as well. So as I said, this is a Samu cover, and yeah, I think I covered the whole thing.
All right, next book's got a pretty simple premise. It is called The Citizen. It is from Action Lab Entertainment. It's about a journalist who tries to cope with being the only non-superhuman in a city full of heroes and villains. So yeah, just a very, very big twist on our everyday premise, but he's the only normal person.
Wow.
The only non-special person, so...
Probably be pretty terrible.
That he's standing at a very dangerous spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it's anything else from Action Lab, it's going to be humorous, so if that sounds interesting to you...
There are so many number ones on this
Every
order
week.
this week. No, more this time. I mean, we're still going over number ones here.
Like this one, I'm a big reality TV show, game show fan, and you can judge me all you want for it. But I thought this sounded pretty fun. This is S Factor from Action Lab, and this is about a former sidekick who is very underappreciated. So he decides to kind of rebrand himself, get out there and create a new face for himself. So he is going to go on a superhero dating show, reality show called the S Factor, where one hopeful superhero dates 11 different women, and from the cover it looks like they are also superheroes, but not everything is as it seems. I would imagine maybe one of them is a super villain in disguise, or maybe kind of a henchman for some super villain. And also the sidekick's former mentor is very upset that he has joined this reality show because, you're trying to keep your secret identity secret, and this is a really bad way of going against that. So, new book from Action Lab. It sounds really fun. It's a fun concept.
Okay, I get to do our last number
I've
one.
been giggling over here, looking ahead at what you're about to have to
Okay.
talk about.
So, all right, it's okay. You guys have heard of Invader Zim. You know, Johan Vasquez, he comes back and he does some new Invader Zim from time to time. This one just kind of stands out. It is Invader Zim in the Dookie Loop Horror. And yeah, so if you think, oh, that sounds kind of potty humor, wait till you hear what it's about. So these interdimensional creatures called chrono dumpers use our dimension as their toilet. And what they leave behind creates this time loop that they call a poop time loop that Dib and Zim get caught in, and they have to try to figure out a way to get out of the poop time loop caused by the chrono dumpers. Oh my lord! So, and
It's like
I bet Johan Vasquez's parents are so proud of him. Like, Mom, look what I wrote.
Well, it's funny. Invader Zim was like Rick and Morty before Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
He was like doing those kind of things, before it was cool. And it's funny now that this is still coming out.
I watched all of Invader Zim. It was one of those shows where if I had a sick day and I was feeling bad, I'd put it on.
Yeah.
And, it's like,
And you'd feel even more sick.
it makes you laugh. But yeah, so that's the premise on this one.
All right, now we're getting into our next part of the show where we're going to show you a bunch of different variant covers, not just number ones anymore, but things we don't want you to miss that might go under the radar. So let's start out with Batman 111. This is the B cover by Gabriel Dell'Otto. So what's happening in this is the mayor announces a crackdown against mass vigilantes just as the magistrate moves against the Unsanity Collective, and we are about to see Fear State begin.
That chair is very uncomfortable for that, man.
This is the C cover, which is a Suicide Squad variant.
Yeah, that's why, if you're wondering why some of those characters are on a
Yeah.
Batman cover, they're doing a series
This is
of...
the Perio for Batman 111 Suicide Squad variant.
Yep. Which, I was looking at the Harley, I mean, they got the Margot Robbie just right in her face there.
Next up is Superman and the Authority number 2. This is a 4-issue series. I want to make sure you didn't miss out on this. I skimmed through the first issue. It looks really cool. Bring in a lot of those characters we haven't seen in a long time from the Authority. Also focus a lot on Manchester Black, who, if you haven't read anything with him, is a very interesting character. And this is the Hair Scene variant cover.
All right, Green Lantern number... Oh, wait. Is that the one I'm on? Yes, it is, because it's a Suicide Squad one.
I can't even tell what I'm looking at.
So, right. I'm glad we're showing this, because I don't know if people would know what this is otherwise. This is Green Lantern number 5. This is the C cover by Felipe Massafera, which is a Suicide Squad variant. Very colorful.
Got Polka Dot Man there.
Sort of dissect it.
Yeah, I think, what's his name? Javelin, and then...
I just
Thinker
came across
Batman.
Javelin's first appearance the other day in the
funny.
collection. Yeah. So in this issue, this variant cover aside, Joe Mullen is trying to figure out who has basically destroyed the Green Lantern Corps, and she comes across Sinestro. So that's...
Always blame it on Sinestro. He's just walking by. And...
Yeah. So...
All right, more Suicide Squad stuff. This is Swamp Thing number 6, the Francesco Mattina cardstock variant. What's going on in this issue is Levi is unable... This is not the right thing. Yeah, notice. Okay. The other cover fits with the storyline better.
Yeah.
Anyway, Levi is unable to access his powers as a Swamp Thing, so he finds himself trapped and stalked by the Suicide Squad. So it's all about Suicide Squad this week.
Mm-hmm.
This is, once again, Swamp Thing number 6. This is the Mattina variant.
Very Mattina, except that it's so bright this time.
Yeah.
Next up is Batman Urban Legends number 6, the Anacito variant. And this is cool because this is, on the cover, Zealot, who is another Wildstorm character we haven't seen in a very long time. This issue also has the final installment of the Red Hood story that has been really, really good. A lot of people talking about it, just a lot of character development for Red Hood, and this is the conclusion of that. But also, I don't know how it ties in with Batman too much, but it does have a story with Zealot versus Wonder Woman. So I'm sure Batman will fit in there somehow, but it's cool to see a older Wildstorm character back. Oh, and then this is the
This is C cover to it.
yeah, the Edukure variant.
It's a good variant though.
I love
It's
it.
awesome.
Yeah, love seeing a lot
Black
of
Canary doing her
a lot
thing.
more Black Canary.
Yeah. All right, so this is the A cover for Crushing Lobo #3 by Bernard Chang. He's the cover artist. I wanted to put this one on here because I felt like, you know, he was doing his own thing, but he's channeling
Bisley.
exactly the Bisley stuff with Crush. I mean, Crush is in the position Lobo would typically be in. Back to the viewer.
Yeah.
Something written on the jacket, just looking buff and mean and tough. So even though this isn't a variant, I wanted to show it. Also, we like to show issues 2 and 3 to give people a chance to go, oh, you know what? I need to tell my store to sign me up. Because once issue 3, 4, 5 start hitting, stores start lowering the order and you can't just grab them off the shelf. So if you've enjoyed Crushing Lobo so far, you might want to tell your store you want more. Now, what I'm looking forward to is they are supposed to actually meet in this one finally. The first two, a lot of setup. You get to know Crush better. But this one, she's supposed to finally, you know, meet the main man. And apparently Lobo really tells her he wants to talk about his feelings. Is it an act? It has to be an act, unless he's been possessed or it's not him at all.
Yeah.
Like, that does not sound like him. So, I don't know. I have to read this one, but I hope they really, like, meet up right at the
They're
beginning.
going to get, like, door to door, and they're about to open it, and then it ends.
Yeah.
All right, next up we have Conjuring the Lover #3 of the 5-part miniseries. This is the Ryan Brown movie poster that he's been doing. Really great variant covers for these. So what's going on in this issue is that Jessica's descent into madness is continuing, and we're going to be really cool. We get to see more from the artifact room. They're going to tell us about that accordion monkey.
Oh.
Which, if you guys watch The Conjuring, you know, that image should be coming to mind right now. So
already creepy. It doesn't need any more explanation.
One of our customers described issue #2 of this as the scariest thing he had read all week, even compared against Nice House on the Lake, which we're going to get at next, which also a really good horror series. So if you're not reading this and you like The Conjuring, or if you don't, I do recommend checking it out.
Next up is Batman The Adventure Continues, Season 2, #3. This is the Stephanie Pepper variant. We're still dealing a lot with the Court of the Owls, but this time in the Batman the Animated Series style and through the lens of that classic show.
Yeah, I like that Huntress is, like, hunting them.
Yeah, I mean, Huntress getting a lot of FaceTime recently, too.
She really is. And then in the background, you know, you got your classic Batman doing his animated thing he just does nonstop.
Yeah, he loves doing that.
Okay, so this is Justice League #66. This is the B cover by Alexander Lozano, and it has Batman doing something very interesting.
Yeah,
with his
I've
legs.
looked at this multiple times. I'm like, he's doing like a mantis kick or
Yeah,
something.
he's doing some karate there. He has the muscles; they're all tense, ready to spring. So in this issue, the Hall of Justice is invaded, and in other parts of the story, the Justice League members start sort of discussing checkmate. They've heard what's been going on a little bit, that Green Arrow's put this team together, and, you know, that's going to spell problems for him because no one's going to like the idea of what he's doing with that.
All right, just as I was talking about earlier, we have Nice House on the Lake, issue #3. Issue 2 just came out this past week. This series is doing it right. They're letting you read the comic before you have to place your order for it. So, but of course you're going to want to. It's James Tynion's new horror series. If you've been sleeping under a rock, yeah, it's this issue we're going to be dealing with the characters. You know, we have the rules they're supposed to be following, and we're going to see them bucking against them a little bit, and what's the fallout of that. So, it'll be another interesting issue. After I read #2, I definitely immediately wanted 3. it's like an edge of your seat story. So looking forward to this.
I love the cover too. They've been doing this with the covers where it's like a flashlight on something. The last one was the bathtub.
Yeah.
This is this. It's such a atmospheric,
subtle,
creepy.
They do have a B cover to this, but it is not available to see yet. So just so you know.
Yeah, that's good to know. So ask your store if you want that variant. Ask, because stores do not order enough when we can't see the cover, and you know, people keep coming in getting all the covers for this at our store. So
next up is Justice League Infinity, number 2 of this 7-part series. Much like Batman: The Adventure Continues, this is very much playing off the Justice League and Justice League Unlimited animated series, and we just got our first issue of it this week. Really, really cool. So classic. If you're a fan of those animated series, you'll like this one. Especially, you can see on this with the twist that happened at the end of the first one, where Superman, there was a lightning strike, and then Superman changed to being a not-so-nice version of Superman. I really like this. I'm glad they're doing this. I want them to continue with these animated, because I was always a big fan of those. So don't miss number 2. Like we say, orders start decreasing after the number 1. So let your store know that this is one you do really want.
Okay, so this is the Kale New variant to Sensational Wonder Woman number 6. And in this issue, Queen Bee hypnotizes a bunch of the other Amazons and turns them against Wonder Woman. So she has to go up against Queen Bee and her own people.
All right, Suicide Squad again. Suicide Squad number 6. This is the Gerald Perel variant. And what's going on in this one is it's Bloodsport's first mission with the team, and it doesn't go so well. So there you go.
This is that kind of new look for Bloodsport that is from the movie, but they just brought into the main comic continuity where he looks like this, and his suit works the same way as the movie. So I think this is really cool to see kind of the first look at his new costume in both movie and comic on the cover.
And you still can't tell the chin. Is it that he has a skull, or is it just a bandana?
Yeah, I
that
looked
looks
close
like
at the movie version, and he does have like the underskull thing. But when he appears in the comics, it looks a lot like he just has a skull chin.
Yeah.
So next up is a few really beautiful covers from In-hyuk Lee for Asian American and Pacific Islander history, which is actually in May, but we'll cut them some slack in that they're releasing them in August. But this first one is for Avengers number 47. Really cool. Then I love this one for Hellions number 14. Such a cool style on that too. And then we have X-Men number 2 with armor on that one.
Yeah, those are all great, and I'm glad we got to show them together, because this is one of these ones that you might see them spread apart, but when you see them together, all of a sudden people are like, I need those. Like that whole series. So.
When you present it as like almost like how the Alex Ross Timeless ones did, it's like, no, this is like they all have a central theme, a central color. They look really nice together.
And in a moment, I'm going to show you one more, but first, this is the homage variant cover for Immortal Hulk number 49. I like it when the fights spill into the title and
get that title
the logo.
Out of the way.
Yeah, that's great. But there's also another cover, the In-hyuk Lee one. So maybe we should have had that with the others. But
yeah, that's a really cool cover.
Yeah.
All right, this is Silk number 5, the Marvel Games variant. So this is the last issue of her miniseries. It came and went so quick. So in this issue, she has to team up with an unlikely ally to stop Kasha from unleashing an ancient demon god. And there's going to be some shocking revelations at the end of this, apparently. So probably they're going to set her up to have another series, miniseries, ongoing series, something of that sort, but we'll figure out maybe what that's going to entail at the end of this issue.
This series had a lot of great covers. Regular covers variants, the incentive variants too. But I have to say personally that number 2 Besh, the yellow cover.
We'll get an award of the year.
So
so
cool.
Popular.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Sinister Wart number 2. This is the handbook variant. They're continuing to do all these handbook variants. Really cool. Very homage to the old Marvel handbooks.
Yes.
This one featuring Rhino, a very stocky Rhino.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have the Veregi variant. Really, really
I
cool.
like that
The
one
more
a
you
lot.
look at it, it's like, oh, it's like the moon have a face, and I don't know, really cool.
Veregi style is just so different,
Mhm.
and with a style that's so starkly different, sometimes it's going to be better, sometimes worse, and this one's on the side of one of the better ones, I think. Okay, so this is Web of Spider-Man number 3. Now, I think everybody was sleeping on number 1. They didn't know that the kid from Iron Man was going to be in it, and everyone went chasing for it. So now we have a chance to catch up. We have a chance to offer these as open order. So if you want the other ones, this is issue number 3, just the A cover. This is your chance to tell your store to put you on it. And in this, so WEB stands for Worldwide Engineering Brigade. I don't know if
Brigade might have not been the best word, but it helps spell web.
Exactly, yeah. So somebody has hacked them, and they have to actually go across the globe to try to track down this hacker.
All right, next up, Andy showed a bit of this off earlier, but this is Star Wars Bounty Hunters number 15, the wanted poster variant.
You see the little stormtrooper down there looking
So,
up at it.
Is that this? I think that's the same amount that Jenga was wanted for.
Yeah, which
it was
I would
50.
imagine if they knew it was Boba Fett, it would be higher.
Yeah.
So I'm going to chalk it up to that, but I still say that the bounty on Boba Fett would be way higher than
I want them all to be
Valence.
different. I like your idea. It's like, who's
Yeah.
wanted more and less? Like, no ties.
Then you're going to get one that has, like, Jax the Bunny on it, and it's going to be like, we'll pay you to take him.
I'll tell you, though, they could work in the story where somebody does something extra mean or messed up just to try to raise their bounty, because
Yeah.
they've been seeing that.
I mean, when your poster's that big, I
Yeah.
mean, you're a celebrity. Next up is Geiger. This is for number 5, one of my favorite series coming out now. This previous issue, number 4, was awesome. And they've been doing a crazy awesome job with all of the variant covers for this, getting huge names to do it. So first off, we have the Jerry Ordway variant. And then we have the Paul Pelletier variant. That one's cool. I mean, he's extra glowy in that.
Glowy, yeah.
And then we have the, it's cool that Gary Frank has been doing the A cover and then like the C or D covers for this with one of our other main characters on the cover here.
So this cover really stands out to me because Geiger's not on it.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing glowing. There's nothing radioactive. So I feel like somehow this is a very important scene. You know, I'm interested to read it. All right, so next, this is the number 2 to Broken Souls Ballad from Black Caravan. Black Caravan Comics released this. So once again, this is a sort of series that your shop might under order. So if you got that number 1, you liked it, definitely ask your shop for number 2. Otherwise, you may not see it on the shelf.
All right, 7 to Eternity, issue number 17. Before there was seemingly something to chase after every week, I remember 7 to Eternity was actually pretty popular.
I like it a lot.
Something people had to chase after as well. So this is the final issue. If I haven't said it was a Rick Remender's big hit. So it's ending with issue 17. So I want to make you guys aware, let you know, so it doesn't slip your radar.
It's such a good series. I think I'm surprised it hasn't been optioned, except the world is so fantastic. It would need a huge budget.
Yeah.
A huge budget. And it's too adult to do animated. At least, I think Invincible has pushed that threshold.
Yeah.
But before, because the premise is so good.
Next up is Stray Dogs. We've
Yes.
got, I believe it said these were the final printings of them.
Yes, this is the last time they're reprinting
I
these.
like that they're kind of giving us a heads up when they do that now.
Yep.
Stray Dogs is crazy that it's like one of the hottest properties now of people trying to get the back issues of it. And they continue to kill it on these variant covers, the movie homage variant covers. So we have, I believe this is Stray Dog. Is this the number 2?
This is number 1, 5th printing.
Okay, number 1, 5th printing.
Yes.
And of course that is Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Yep.
Then we have, I thought this was the number.
It's the same. So this is the
Okay.
B cover to number 1 fifth printing.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
I've
you're
been doing my Stray Dogs research.
yeah, because it can get very confusing, especially the numbers aren't big on the covers
No.
when they do those movie posters. But you were saying that the first issue sketch cover is now
Everyone's
going up in
looking for
price
it.
because everybody
Yeah.
wants to get either a movie poster homage an artist to do, or I've had people ask me to do their own pet
Oh, that's great.
commission on the cover.
That's
So
great.
yeah, I mean this series was set up perfect for animal lovers.
Yeah. So to clarify, the last cover we showed and this cover are both issue number 1 fifth print. It's just issue number 1 fifth print has an A cover and a blank B cover.
Then we have number 2. This is the 4th printing of number 2.
Fourth and final. All these are the final print of them.
Do you know what movie poster that is?
I want people to tell us in the comments.
Okay, I won't say it, but I really
You
like.
do know. I'm
I
sure
do know.
Yeah.
That's
okay.
your way of saying you don't know. You're like, I know, but I'm not gonna tell.
Yeah.
And this one, this is Stray Dogs number 4. I believe is this 3rd print?
I think it's 4th print.
4th
as
print
well.
for number 4. Okay,
Yeah.
this one a little bit harder, challenge level on this
Yeah,
cover.
I know this one too, but
I
It is
don't.
much-
Well, you'll have to tell me later.
okay.
Huh.
I believe it's a foreign film,
Okay.
so.
I would like to point out. So we just went from issue 2 to issue 4. Issue 3 has a 4th printing. They did not have the cover for it, so they're reprinting all the covers. And so that's the one everyone's going to miss. Make sure if you want them all, ask for all of them. Tell your shop, especially that number 3 4th printing, because we have no cover to show you. It's not released. They're still working on it. So we had to go to multiple sources to even find all
Yeah.
these covers. And
Then we have number 5 2nd print.
Yep.
Which I couldn't tell. Is this a movie cover or is
Huh.
this just like a Stray Dogs
So
variant?
I actually don't know either. It does not look like a movie.
I don't think it's a
cover to
movie
me.
because it also doesn't have the the poster
Yeah.
production company and all of that on
But
there.
please blow our mind and tell us in the comments if this is one.
I don't know what the movie cover or the movie poster looks like. I can't picture it, but maybe like Split.
I was thinking Split or
Hmm.
Glass or one of those.
That's pretty. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
pretty good actually.
So, all right. So Basilisk is at issue number 3. This is the Rice variant. This is the B cover. I've really enjoyed issue number 1 and issue number 2. I think this comic might keep heating up. It just has some villains that are so interesting. Their powers are so cool. And one of the villains maybe is a turncoat, maybe isn't. I think it's cool how that's been rolled out really slowly. So I like the solicitation of this one. So the bad group, the people who have the sensory powers, they're called the Chimera. Well, it says the Chimera, the remaining 4 members, are surrounded by the state police. I think the state police are going to be murdered in very creative ways,
Yeah.
a la Cullen Bunn. So I'm waiting to see this. But who knows? I don't know. Maybe they'll take one of them out.
Mhm.
So we'll just have to see.
All right, this is Crash and Troy number 2, and that's all I have to say about that.
If you don't ask for this at your store, there's a good chance that not a lot of it's going to
Yeah,
be ordered.
that's why we're showing this to you.
If you like the number 1, ask, and then you'll get the number 2 for sure.
Just like with Samurai 2.0 about the graffiti samurai, these, especially from Action Lab and stuff, they aren't the way we do our ordering. They're not like the first things that come up. Kind of the biggest publishers at the top, and it works its
Yep.
way down. So companies like Action Lab tend to be towards the bottom, and a lot of people doing the ordering for your store start to speed through some of the smaller
order
publishers.
fatigue.
Order fatigue after you've put in your Amazing Spider-Man numbers and all of that.
It's a thing.
Yeah, so make sure that if you want these series, you let them know. It definitely helps us out when we're doing our ordering, when we have very specific needs.
Same thing with Monday, Rivers of London number 2. You know, we know these things have fans out there. Sometimes I like some really obscure stuff, and so you gotta let your store know about that. So number 2 is available to order. If you think you want it, I would put yourself down for it. It's about full-time cop, part-time wizard Peter Grant.
All right, this is God Killer Tomorrow's Ashes number 2, and this is by Black Mask, and it was super interesting. They said that this was their number 1 was their most ordered comic ever. So really cool to see Black Mask getting lots more love. That's really interesting. So of course they're going to follow that up. This is issue number 2. They're also doing a number 1 second print. So both those are on the FOC this week. If you missed out, if your store sold out. But yeah, see what all the hype's about.
Next up is one that we've talked about quite a bit.
Yeah, I've liked this series.
Wondering too, this is Shang Chi number 1 second printing. And there's also Shang Chi number 2 second printing. And we're talking about, like, they've got, you know, to do a second printing for kind of a mini series is a big deal. I mean, it takes a lot to do the second printings, and I think that there is some big plans for Shang-Chi. Of course, there's the movie, but usually when they do this, they want to make sure that when something happens, people can go back and find issues of it to read.
Yeah, I'm predicting issue number 3 is going to be big. So issue 3 says he discovers he has another sibling, but she's a mutant. And he goes up against Wolverine. To me, whenever they introduce new mutants, it's a big deal now because they end up going to Krakoa, they get involved in other things. And with Shang-Chi and the movie coming out, they're just adding to him. I'm not saying they're adding because all these people are going to be in the first movie, but they're hoping the movie does well, they make more.
Yep.
So I think issue 3 is going to be big, and thus reprints on number 1 and number 2 all of a sudden. So I'd watch out for that. And the other thing I was going to add, I'm not sure this is a miniseries. Sometimes Marvel, it's hard to tell.
Yeah.
I think this is an ongoing. But with Marvel, it's often an ongoing until numbers drop, and then suddenly...
Yeah,
because his last one was for sure a mini.
It was a mini, yeah, the last one. But this one, not so sure about.
Yeah, issue 1 is awesome. He kind of has to go up against Spider-Man in a way. Issue 2, he goes up against Captain America, and issue 3 is going up against Wolverine. All because he's part of a crime family that he's trying to turn good, and, you know, the confusion, but fun confusion. All right, so this is the Impure number 1 second print from Scout. This has to do with this devoted soldier who is part of an interstellar war, and something happens to make him question his loyalty. So if you missed out on that first print, or you just want all the prints of it, this is the second print.
All right, we're getting into some trade paperbacks now. This is Batman in the 50s. You may remember this cover from the Decade variants they did, I believe, for Batman 1027. Or no, that was Detective Comics 1027. So maybe it was from that cover. This was one of those Decades covers they did.
Yep, all the different
Might have
Batman.
been Batman 100.
Maybe. I don't think so. Anyway, tell me in the comments. There's a lot. This was from a while back. But anyway, this is from the 1950s. It's going to reprint a bunch of pre-100 issues from Batman series. And this was a decade of change for Batman. There are a lot of new characters that they're going to reprint in this, like Deadshot, the original Batwoman, Mr. Freeze, the original Red Hood. So we're going to get all their first appearances in this. It goes into a lot of stuff about Batman's father. And yeah, it's just a really cool reprinting of a lot of 1950s Batman stories. So only $29.99 for this trade paperback.
Next up is Batman: A Second Son hardcover. So this series, is it over yet?
Yes.
Yeah, we just got the
fourth
last issue
just
of it.
released this week.
And this was a very interesting series because I think this took us further back than we thought we would to see how Jace Fox becomes the next Batman. And I would say that this would probably be, I don't want to say a better read, but it seems like reading all this in one chunk would be very good, just the way it's paced and everything. So, yeah, this is $24.99 for the hardcover of the next Batman: Second Son.
All right, from DC Comics, there is a box set they're releasing called DC Comics Girls Unite, the box set. It is $39.99, and it has a nice slip cover where they all fit in.
Mhm.
So the 4 things it's collecting for just $39.99, it's collecting Batgirl League of Her Own, Batman Adventures Cat Got Your Tongue, Supergirl Adventures Girl of Steel, and lastly Justice League United Girl Power. So each one's about a different female superhero, just all connected and nice. That's the sort of thing, it's a really nice gift.
I was about to say,
Yeah.
really, really cool gift.
Yeah, somebody unpacks it, they're going to be happy about that.
All right, this is Carnage Black, White, and Blood Treasury Edition. I feel like we've talked about this before, but this is a $30.
There's another treasury.
Yeah, these have yet to release, so I'm really curious about what the size of them is actually going to be. Is it going to be a treasury? But that's what they're calling it. Okay,
it is.
cool.
It's just full
They
treasury
did the
size.
Wolverine one before.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we are gonna have this. This is about, of course, just painted in black, white, and blood. The serial killer super villain. Oh my god, I'm sorry. I'm just tripping over all my words today. Anyway, $30.
And I'll say this. So with our store, we don't like to order things that are huge
Yeah.
that we have to store. So this will basically be, we'll order exactly how many people ask for, maybe one extra.
Mhm.
And I assume other stores are the same way.
Mhm.
So if you're on the fence, you got until Monday to figure it out.
Yep. Next up is Wolverine and the X-Men Omnibus by Jason Aaron. This actually came out when I first started working at comic book stores, so I'm very nostalgic about this series. It was a really fun series where Wolverine was the kind of took Professor X's place as the head of the Xavier Institute. A lot of hijinks. This also had a lot of your early, like Quentin Quire, a lot of the characters that are very big now, Armor and all of those, kind of got a lot more playtime in this one. So this is the omnibus. It is 936 pages. It collects Wolverine the X-Men 1 through 35 and 38 through 42 in annual number 1. I don't know what happens in 36 and 37, but
Probably part of some event where
Yeah.
the context would be lost. If you're
right.
reading it
So
together.
yep, and it is $125. This is the A cover, the Machalo cover, and then there is the direct market variant, which I believe is Stuart Eminem. It didn't say, but I think that's who it is.
All right, so Star Wars Insider number 204 is available to order. This is the newsstand edition. I always like to start with this one because it's very clear what it is, but they always release 2 other ones you can get. So Star Wars Insider has really picked up in sales. People have been buying them. I think they've even been putting more stuff sort of in them. And this one has an interview with a producer of the prequel trilogy. It also has some new High Republic exclusive fiction written by Justina Ireland. So newsstand cover. This is the previews exclusive cover. I'm glad these ones are almost always the best because you can only get these at comic stores.
Yep.
So forget about going to, Barnes and Noble or wherever. They won't have this one. Only comic stores get this one. And lastly, this is the FOC variant that I'm not sure. I've always wondered why they do an FOC variant. I don't know of anything else that does. It's basically a variant that they get ready sort of last minute.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes they're really cool though.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, everybody's excited about the Obi-Wan series that's on its way. So it's cool they're highlighting Ewan McGregor, Obi-Wan.
All right, this is Radiant Black trade paperback. If you've been waiting to read this series has been printed and reprinted and received a lot of praise. It is by Kyle Higgins, and he sort of reinvents the superhero genre. It follows 30-year-old Nathan, and he's just down on his luck. His credit cards are piling up. He has to move back in with his parents, and everything changes for him. You cannot beat Image's $9.99 trade paperbacks.
Mm-hmm.
So, and this is 1 through 6 that it collects as well. So, if you've been waiting, I think all of us have really liked this series here. So, definitely thumbs up. Definitely check it out.
Next up is, I couldn't tell if this was, I don't think this was ever printed individual
I think
issue-wise.
This is original.
So this is Mafiosa by Sunshine Barbito. It is 128 pages. It's got the beautiful Jenny Frizen cover on that. And it is about set in the Roaring '20s. A daughter of a mafia boss is determined to rise up in the ranks of her family business. So, kind of a cool mobster mafia story. I love stuff set in the '20s and everything. So, sounds really cool. I think that's it for
Alright.
today.
That's the show.
Well, we promised
Lots of
you
number ones.
guys some news at the end of the show. So the news is, and you guys can't be filling any blanks here. I'm sure you all have heard that Marvel is switching to Penguin Random House to distribute their comic books, but that's not happening fully until October. But with that switch is going to come FOC's orders starting to be due on Sundays.
Yep.
Used to, you could get your Marvel orders and a lot of indie orders in on Monday and still be okay. And DC, they had switched a while back to doing Sunday FOC, but now everything's going to be on Sunday. So if you're one of those people who likes to do it on Monday, maybe do it during your lunch break or whatever, you're going to have to retool your schedule because orders are going to start being due on Sunday.
Yep.
You can still submit to us for the next couple weeks on Monday, but we're going to try to start working things back to Sunday just so everybody's ready for that switch.
You don't miss out on things because could come in a day late.
That is true, especially for some series not a lot of people are on or a particular variant. So we don't know how your store will handle it, but we bet it's going to be like us. We're moving our day to Sunday. Not starting this week, we'll give notice, but coming up. So if you're the sort of person who likes to get in a pattern, start submitting your stuff on Sunday. That way you're already in that pattern. Because once we close Sunday night when this begins, that'll be it. Our order will be locked for Marvel and DC. And I mean, that's, I don't know, 3/4 the books that we order. So that's the news. It's, it's not necessarily good news, but it's just change.
It's change, yeah.
Yep.
So, interesting change. So let's say, start working your orders to be due at 5 p.m. on Sundays. Once again, we'll be fine for the next few weeks, but start thinking about that. And yeah, thank you for spending a little bit of your Friday or Saturday, whenever you watch this, with us. We're happy to have you on. And if you need to order anything you saw here, we're going to leave some info up on the screen right about now.
And if you think that we are giving you some good details, some good information to make educated decisions about these comics, hit subscribe. If you're on YouTube, hit subscribe. We appreciate that. All right, well, have a great rest of your day or evening or morning.
See you guys.